Thank you for joining us this evening in the Recreation Center for the regular City Commission meeting of August 17th, 2021. I'd like to ask all of you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, Mayor Pro Tem Olsman.
Aye, present.
Commissioner Elder.
Present.
Commissioner Jenks.
Present.
Commissioner Rozelle is excused. Mayor Paul present. Approval of the agenda. We are going to remove the second item under the closed session. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You gotta get used to looking around the table instead of just at the monitor. Okay. Approval of the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Jenks.
I would like to remove the treasurer's report for June 2021.
Okay, we will move that to item number 9. Make that motion, or Commissioner Elder?
I did.
You accept that removal?
I do.
What?
Do you accept the removal?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Communications, I don't believe we had any. Elected officials remarks. We do have our state rep here.
State
this evening,
representative.
And our county commissioner.
Go first?
Sure.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and good evening. My name is Regina Weiss. I'm the state representative for the 27th House District, which obviously includes Huntington Woods, because that's where we are, as well as the communities of Berkeley, Oak Park, Pleasant Ridge, Royal Oak Township, Ferndale, and Hazel Park. Happy to be with you here today to give a quick update on what's going on in the legislature in Lansing, and to answer any questions that you might have, as well as addressing some of the local issues that have been happening here of late. First, some great news. We were able to, in the legislature, pass a school aid budget at the end of June that was signed by the governor in July that was passed on time and invests more into our public education in the state of Michigan than we ever have before. Also, for the first time in the history of Michigan, closes the funding gap. So that's been a goal since 1994 with the passage of Proposal A. We finally have achieved that with this budget, and invest more into pre-K, making the funding for per pupil funding for pre-K equal to that of K-12. So $8,700 across the board is what all of our students across the state of Michigan are going to be getting this coming fall, which is great news. We also passed a supplemental education budget to bring in more funding for our schools to be able to respond to the COVID needs that they have, including a lot of funding that has come back to our local schools here, including in Berkeley schools. So I'm very happy to report that. There's still more work to be done, always, but we are happy to get that done. Unfortunately, we still have not passed the remainder of our budgets, including, I'm sure this body is concerned about what's revenue sharing is going to be looking like this coming year. And we have not yet passed those budgets. We have until October 1 to pass them before we're looking at a potential shutdown. And what I'm hearing is that we are confident that that will be done, but I know obviously it's frustrating because everyone here is waiting to know what their budgets are going to be. So that will, those budgets will be voted on in September. I'm proud of the work that I got to do on the school aid budget. I've served as the minority vice chair of school aid. So I'm happy that we were able to at least get that budget done so our local school districts are able to plan for this coming school year. I did also want to address, I know obviously we had some some very severe storms that came through our communities last week, and we still unfortunately have residents who are without power days after, many days after that storm has passed. And I just want to let people know, because I've been hearing as well from folks who are frustrated with the response of DTE, that DTE does report to the state of Michigan, and that anyone who has a complaint that they would like to file about the response to the storm can contact the Public Service Commission and file a formal complaint. And I'm going to read the number that they can call to do that. So it's 800-292-9555. You can also contact 517-284-8100. And there was someone manning those call lines Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. You can also email the chair of the Public Service Commission, Dan Scripps, and you can send that email to MPSC, so the Michigan Public Service Commission, _commissioners@michigan.gov, or you can file a formal complaint online at michigan.gov/MPSC. So I just want residents to know that they do have the ability to do that. I know it's very frustrating, and the response has been very frustrating. And I also wanted this body to know that the commission as well could also, on behalf of residents, file a complaint with the MPSC as well, which some surrounding communities are beginning to do because of the frustrations with the most recent power outage. We are also looking, myself and some other commissioners, your commissioners, other representatives in the state of Michigan are looking into potential legislation to appropriate some more money to invest back into the grid to help prevent some of these issues from happening in the future, and working with other Oakland County reps on that. Representative Steklov from Farmington Hills has taken the lead on that, and we're all working together to try to get that money out as quickly as possible. So I know it's frustrating. I'm very sorry for everyone who's having to deal with this right now, and if anyone has any other additional concerns, they can always reach me at my office. My number is 517-373-0478, or you can email me at Regina Weiss, that's WEISS, @house.mi.gov. Thank you. If anyone has any questions, I could answer them.
In your view, can the city file as an entity with the Public Service Commission, and does that serve to, as representative of the residents who are very upset by what went on, not just in terms of the delay, but what seemed to be like confusion, lack of answers,
Yeah.
and, just look, everybody understands the frustration of not having power, and everybody gets that. The question is, if we do it, does it carry any different meaning in your view, any more weight, or it doesn't matter?
I think that the more individuals as well as communities that collectively file complaints, the better, because it puts more pressure on the Public Service Commission to enact policies to make these changes that are needed. And I do know that the communities of Farmington Hills have already started the process of filing a formal complaint, and there are several other Oakland County communities that are looking at joining them in that process as well. Yes.
Regina, is it possible for you to request of Detroit Edison circuits which are having problems broken down by city and location that are in your district?
I can absolutely always put that request out. What I will say is that when I have made requests in the past, I've gotten the same response that I think everyone has gotten when they log in online to look at the outage map. So, but I can happily do that.
It would be
Absolutely.
useful to be documented at the state level that there are refusals, as well as what we experience at the local level.
If there are specific areas, locations that need to be addressed, if I can get that from you, and I can put that request in, absolutely. Great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
County Commissioner.
Hello, everybody. I'm Charlie Cavell, our County Commissioner. So 3 quick things. 1, we're going to talk about the Delta variant. 2, the budget. 3, ARP.
Maybe not. Nope. Nope, that's as high as it'll go. Sorry. I tried.
Charlie, it would be okay to remove your mask
So we can hear you better.
Oh,
so
okay.
everyone can hear you. Yep.
Is that better?
Much better.
Okay. Also, we got to give props to Regina. She was being modest when she was talking about passing the school aid thing. I remember talking to her, and she was having to whip votes for weeks, and so that's why she got to be at the bill signing. So thanks for making that investment in public education. That's cool. So COVID, the Delta variant is real, and it is upon us, as I'm sure some of you know from friends and family getting it, if not yourselves. It is, though, it is now the variant of the unvaccinated, as people have been saying. So if you're vaccinated, you will get sick. If you're not vaccinated, you will get sick and then could end up in a worse situation. So to shed light on how this has grown, since July 1st, we went from having a 1.9% positivity rate to having a 5.3% positivity rate, which means cases on average have gone from being 7 per day on a 7-day rolling average to being 118 per day on a 7-day rolling average. So this is the 3rd big spike we're seeing. Second thing about the budget, to what State Rep Weiss was just talking about and what you all went through with losing your power, the County Commission is in the finishing stages of figuring out its budget, and so part of that is going to involve a huge investment in sustainability, but what I think a better term for it should be, and some of you in the biz may know better, the term called climate resiliency. And so this is something that's extremely important and extremely prescient. So the county is making a huge investment in climate resiliency, and will be soon hiring our first sustainability director to focus on that as relates to the county. One illuminating point is in the rains we had 5 weeks ago, the GWK drain, the George W. Kuhn drain, which is 100 million gallons. It's won all sorts of awards for being a really big cistern for water, filled up in 11 minutes. And so the water was coming down as fast as it did in 2017 around here. But because the rains only lasted for 15 minutes, the flooding was comparatively minimal. So that's just, again, evidence of what we're seeing and how big this issue is. Second to the budget, we're going to be putting a lot of investments in police training. So crisis intervention training, talking about having co-responders embedded in the sheriff's office. Third thing, talking about ARP. We have so the county has a $965 million budget. And then thanks to, I'm not allowed to be partisan, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Something happened, and now there's $1.9 trillion coming to local communities. Oakland County got $244 million of that. That's American Rescue Plan dollars. So the county commission has created several study groups to then basically come up with recommendations of how we could divvy up that money based on interests of the commission. So some of those groups are transit, housing, investing in cities, infrastructure, mental health, child care, and also the Delta variant. So the last thing I'll say is if any of you or anyone else would like to offer input on the budget amendment, because we're making our amendment list now, or would like to learn more or talk about ARP, would be happy to go there with you and do the best I can. And my number's 248-807-4347. Also, Mark, I sent you a bunch of grants today that are right from the Association of Counties, so hopefully some of them work.
Great, thank you.
Anyone have any questions?
Charlie, did you send money or just send information out?
Yeah, y'all got to do the work. Sorry, all I can do is forward emails.
Thanks, Charlie. And
Thank you.
Congratulations on your wedding, by the way.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. Moving on to proclamations. For those of you who were wondering why the parade on the 4th of July stopped for 2 or 3 minutes all of a sudden, it was because we stopped the parade in order to make a proclamation. And I would like to read that proclamation this evening and represent it to who we awarded it to. It was recognizing Charlene and Robert Newton. Whereas in 1969, the city of Huntington Woods was changed forever because the Newtons bought this very house where we were stopped at 10714 Nadine. Bob and Shar became immediately active in the community and joined a small softball team run through the recreation department. Many friendships were formed and ideas were developed on how to bring friends, family, and neighbors together to build a stronger community bond. Whereas Bob, a few years later, was one of the founding fathers of the Huntington Woods Men's Club, the JCs in those first years, and remained an active member for the rest of his life. He served as club president in 1982-83, co-chaired the first annual service auction, founded and chaired for many years the annual Camp Dearborn trip, and was always the bus driver and participant in the annual golf outing that raises money for the scholarship fund. Meantime, Shar was always in the room and probably the driving force behind the formation of the Men's Club. Both solicited many gifts for the auction over the years. Shar, to this day, is an honorary member of the club and always one of the leading gift solicitors. One of the most popular gifts over the years was the visit from Santa, aka Bob, to auction item winners' homes on Christmas morning. Whereas Shar has always been an active participant and supporter of the Recreation Department and the City of Huntington Woods, including starting the Santa Breakfast, Easter egg hunt, and clue hunt. Shar was also on the team that started the first city newsletter. She has been an active member in the Residents Association, Tri-Community Coalition, the Huntington Woods Study Club, and the Pen Pal program, along with attending many Monday Lunch Bunch programs. Shar also sat on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board for 6 years, as well as the Central Plaza Committee. Whereas Bob was one of the drivers when the city bought their first bus and volunteered his services to drive for many city and club functions. He also served 8 years on the Zoning Board of Appeals and volunteered and participated in countless Recreation Department events and activities. Whereas both Bob and Shar co-chaired the new residence reception for many years, which introduces new residents to many of the services our city has to offer. Whereas Shar, along with Doris Stoltenberg, 50 years ago, started the week-long July 4th celebration we all enjoy here in Huntington Woods. She has remained very active organizer and participant in many of those events over the years. And Bob was always there with Shar to help organize and set up whatever was necessary to ensure the success of the event. I could keep going on and on and on with whereases as it relates to Bob and Shar and all the things that they have done for this community, but I did make a promise to Colette that I would only stop the parade for 2 minutes. Plus, it all had to fit on one page. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. One last whereas, both have received the Citizen of the Year Award, Charlene in 1983 and Robert in 2007, thanking them for their contributions to the city of Huntington Woods. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, from this moment, the marching of the 50th Annual Independence Day Parade forward, the City of Huntington Woods, in recognition of the outstanding example they have shown for all residents, will rename the annual Civic Award that is presented on July 4th of each year to the Bob and Shar Newton Citizen of the Year Award. Signed, the 4th of July.
Okay, I have just a few words to say. I know all of you know I talk too much, but I'm going to say them anyway. Okay, when Bob Paul, our mayor, started reading the proclamation on the parade on my street on July 4th, Bob and Bob, I can't explain what it touched my every heart. Okay? I am sure my husband Bob was looking down, smiling from ear to ear. He would have loved it. And as this Bob knows, I thought that was one of the biggest things about this thing, was mentioning my husband so many times. Okay? Thanks to everyone who decided to give us the award. Who was it? I don't know. Again, I want to say from the bottom of my heart and thank Bob. And I know my Bob would be here to show it. Thank you.
Very well deserved. All right, we have a second proclamation this evening. My glasses will not stop fogging up. This is declaring September 11th through 17th of 2021 as Patriot Week and September 11th as Patriot Day. Whereas throughout our country's history, the people of our great state and nation have worked together to ensure the preservation of the American ideals of freedom and liberty we enjoy today. And whereas American patriotism has endured through times of turmoil and times of peace, carrying our nation through the darkest days of history and strengthening our commitment to the ideal upon which our country was founded. And whereas, in great reverence to the victims of the attacks of September 11th, 2001, and recognition of the signing of the Constitution on September 17th, 1787, Patriots Week is a time to celebrate the principles set forth by our founding fathers, as well as the countless patriots, vital documents, speeches, and flags that helped make America the great nation it is today. Now, therefore, the City Commission does hereby proclaim September 11th to the 17th, 2021 as Patriots Week, and September 11th, 2021 as Patriots Day. Signed this day by the mayor. That was an opportunity for public participation. This is an opportunity for the public to address the commission for an item that is not on the agenda. Please come forward.
Thank you. I'm Steve Gold, 13340 Balfour Avenue. My throat is going out, you'll have to forgive me. I'm going to read some sections of the Department of Public Safety's policy on the use of deadly force, and then tell you about 7 incidents when it appears that that policy was not followed. These incidents are all in the report you received in May. The use of force policy defines deadly force as that amount of force that could result in death or serious physical injury. The definition then says, quote, "For the purposes of this policy, deadly force includes the threatened use of firearms, i.e. pointing a firearm at a person to gain compliance." The policy states that use of deadly force is permitted in exactly 2 situations. Quote, 1, to protect the officer or another person from what is reasonably believed to be an imminent threat of death or serious physical injury. 2, to prevent the escape of a subject who is fleeing from an inherently violent felony crime and the officer has a probable cause to believe that the subject poses a significant threat of death to the officer or others. Now the 7 cases by case numbers. 15-1421. An officer stopped a vehicle that was speeding and driving dangerously. The officer approached the vehicle, drawing his gun and, quote, pointing it at the driver compartment of the vehicle. The driver was not fleeing anything, did not resist arrest, and was unarmed. 15-2032. Officers responded to a break-in at the rec center. The suspect was spotted through a window and, quote, at gunpoint, he complied with verbal commands to keep his hands showing and lie prone on the ground. He did not attempt to flee, offered no resistance, and wasn't armed. 17-588, Huntington Woods officers apprehended the driver of a vehicle that had been speeding south on Woodward from Birmingham. The vehicle stopped when it attempted a high-speed turn and lost one of its front wheels. The driver initially ignored verbal commands to exit the vehicle, but was not armed and displayed no threatening behavior. After he was lying on the ground, the officer, quote, provided direct cover with the department-issued firearm. 17-0955, 3 officers responded to a home invasion and encountered a suspect. One officer, quote, unholstered his firearm and aimed at the suspect while giving loud verbal commands to show his hands and lay down on the floor. The suspect did not attempt to flee, had no weapon, and offered no resistance except for making the officers repeat their verbal commands. 18-103, an officer noticed a broken headlight on the car behind him. He checked the vehicle on the lean system and saw that it had been reported stolen. When the car stopped at a residence, the officer drew his gun and, quote, pointed it at the driver's side compartment of the vehicle while giving the driver verbal commands. The driver offered no resistance, complied with all commands, did not attempt to flee, and was not armed. 18-513, an officer stopped a car for going 45 in a 30-mile-an-hour zone. As he checked the car on the lean system, the driver started the car, fled through the side streets of Huntington Woods, but was forced to stop at the Talbot Street dead end. The officer, quote, gave loud verbal commands at gunpoint for the driver to exit the vehicle. The driver did so. Then a passenger in the vehicle was given, quote, loud verbal commands at gunpoint to exit the vehicle, which he did. Neither person offered any resistance and neither was armed. 19-276, an officer decided, apparently at random, to do a lean check on a vehicle exiting 696. The lean check showed the vehicle had been reported stolen. He followed the vehicle and turned on his flashers when it stopped in a gas station. An Oak Park officer joined the Huntington Woods officer and, quote, both officers approached the vehicle with guns drawn and the Huntington Woods officer pointed his department-issued firearm at the driver. The driver complied readily, offered no resistance, did not attempt to flee, and was not armed. In any of these incidents, did you hear anything about an imminent threat of death or serious physical injury to the officer or anyone else? Did you hear anything about anyone fleeing from an inherently violent felony crime and posing a significant threat of death or physical injury? I did not. But in every case, the officer's supervisor checked the box, officer's actions justified, on the report form, despite the absence of either of the 2 circumstances permitting the use of deadly force. A policy is no better than its implementation. These 7 cases represent more than a third of all times our officers drew their guns. Why is the city stonewalling when it knows about violations of its deadly force policy, violations which could get somebody killed? I'll be back next month to talk about bias. Thank you.
Are there any other comments?
I can take off my mask. Thank you. My name is Joanne Crystal. I've lived in Huntington Woods for 42 years. It's a great community, certainly, and the Department of Public Safety does a fine job for its residents. However, no organization is perfect, and what Mr. Gold has presented, if it's true, and we believe it is, it's very concerning. And we know that he had presented you with a report. Amy Sullivan, who I know has retired, unfortunately, and he has heard nothing from the commission. I believe it's since May. So I guess my thought is we hope that you will look into it and understand where we're coming from as it relates to the use of the deadly force policy. Thank you.
Can I get your address? 93321. Thank you.
Rich Feldman, live in Huntington Woods on LaSalle Boulevard. My question is, for the commission to somehow respond if they received a report in May, to not respond, that's what bothers me the most. The process by which a longtime resident raises something, does tremendous work, and gets no response. And all that shows to me is a leadership that says, well, I hope he goes away. And I think that's not what you want to be. I don't think that's what Huntington Woods wants to be. So I would like to somehow understand that process of why something from May to August doesn't even get a letter of response. We received it, we'll take it up, there'll be a conversation. There won't be a conversation, we threw it in the garbage. But some response.
Good evening. Dave Welch, 13309 Winchester. I've lived here about 4 years. The police here are amazing. I myself have been in law enforcement for about 18 years now. And every circumstance that he said when he came over and presented those to you has 100% potential to be a very violent encounter. And most of what he said are considered violent felonies. I didn't hear a single incident up there that would violate any law on the officer or the policies as written, which are common in most agencies. I've worked in several states in law enforcement and several agencies here in the area. And pulling a car over that's stolen, I would say probably 8 out of 10 times I have found a weapon in those cars. Someone breaking into a home, breaking into a building, most times, at least many times, I have found weapons with those people. Presenting a firearm is a great deterrent, and the imminent threat of deadly force or injury to that officer is curbed many times by that. Someone points a gun at me and I'm doing something wrong, that's going to want to keep me from running or fighting or fleeing or any of those other things. So we're already at a disadvantage of law enforcement. When you show up to these unknowns, the ball is already in their favor, it's already in their court, and we are reacting. So by presenting that, and you're giving yourself that split-second advantage to where when that imminent danger does come up, you can react a little bit faster. It's common police practice. I review hundreds of reports every single week, exactly like he just read. I find nothing wrong with any of those incidents. Thank you.
My name is Paula Derbogian, and I've lived in Huntington Woods for upwards of 40 years. I've always thought, albeit with limited firsthand knowledge, that our police department has served this community well. However, the investigation that Mr. Gold speaks of is a little disconcerting, and I think it's worthy of our city doing an investigation into it. And I'd like to know if the city is going to contemplate doing that. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, with that, public participation is closed, and we'll move on to the regular items of business. First item is a matter of consideration of a resolution adopting a policy relative to the review and granting of the poverty exemption by the city of Huntington Woods. Mark, do you want to?
Sure. This is before the commission this evening. In the past, the rules changed based on federal poverty standards adopted usually by Oakland County. It's been requested that the commission or the Board of Review has met, and there have been a few residents that have qualified in the past. This policy would allow them to continue to receive, but it's an exception to the rule. That's why this is in front of the commission to adopt a modified standards for poverty exemptions, and a couple of elderly folks, I think it's 2, maybe there's 3, that have received some help from the Board of Review would continue to do so under these new standards that are before you this evening. So staff does recommend that you approve the revised standards.
We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any public comment? Any comments or questions from the commission? Commissioner Jenks?
Yeah, some cities have a multi-year exemption. Is there any reason why we don't have a multi-year exemption where we would still review the tax returns, but give someone, let's say, a 2-year rather than just come back every year?
If we were to review the tax returns every year, they would have to come back. You can't have a multi-year and still review it. If you give a multi-year, there'll be no opportunity for any review.
Any others? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2 is a matter of entering into a contract with Applied Imaging of Southfield, Michigan in the amount of $20,250 for the purchase of a Ricoh ICM 8000 and a Ricoh ICM 3000 copy machines utilizing the MITN cooperative bid pricing.
Yeah, these are both budgeted items, and I'm sure were discussed with the City Commission as part of the preparation for the budget. Tim did the research on these, replaces, as it indicates in the memo, when these break down, that's a really difficult problem for staff, especially the big one at the City Hall. So again, it's our recommendation to approve these, and they were cooperatively bid through the Mitten network.
We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any public comment? Comments or questions from the commission? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3 is a resolution to approve the Oak Stem 2021 Street Tree Enhancement Matching Grant Pilot Program. If you would,
Not much to add on this. It's our recommendation to participate in the program. Funds have been allocated appropriately as part of the budget process. And Tim, do you recall how many trees are we getting as part of this?
Number of trees due to construction and the annual tree removal and replacement of the silver maples. But the George W. Kuhn Drainage District is offering $11,161 matching funds to go towards this so we can do additional trees.
do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support.
Any public comment? Commissioner Cavell.
Hey there. Just saw this on the agenda, so I wanted to say this is a great program. The County Commission loves it. This is great going back to climate resiliency. This is great for property values. Also, I got a lot of things to say about those copy machines, but I'll save it for offline.
Comments or questions from the commission? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4 is consideration of entering into a contract with the Michigan Recreation Construction of Brighton, Michigan for the Reynolds Park outdoor fitness area. This part of the agenda is just the preparation of the property, the concrete that has to be put in, some steel benches. It is everything except for the actual equipment that will be picked up in the next agenda item.
So move.
Second.
Any public comment?
Good evening. Gail Linden, 25840 Concord Road. I've been a resident of Huntington Woods since the late 50s. It's nice to see that 24% of our population, which is the senior population, according to the last newsletter that came out, is, along with the rest of the residents that are over the age of 14, are getting some outdoor exercise equipment. It would be great during COVID if we were outside and doing it, but we managed to do other things. I look forward to it coming in. I do have a couple concerns about this proposal. Number one, the demo and the removal of a light pole. Is that a functional light pole? There's no other light going in anyplace else in this proposal. Number 3, benches. I question as to where the benches are going to be installed. There's one at one far end, one in the middle, and I think one by the sign. Are they going to be facing towards the exercise equipment? I did bring some pictures from the surrounding communities that had exercise equipment and a shade over them, and that's alternate number 1, which is not being done at this time, to install a shade structure over it. If you've been to where behind the Jewish Community Center in Oak Park is, they have a beautiful exercise equipment in a shaded area in a circle, and it's wonderful. When we started this attempt to get exercise equipment, it originally started about 4 years ago. Sharon Nowak, who is here with me, is one of the initiators of this particular plan with Bonnie Nowakowski, and we came to the city and we looked around the rec center to see if we could find space to exercise inside. It wasn't available to us at that time, and so we started pursuing other avenues, and they came up with this particular equipment. I'm somewhat concerned that it's at the far end of the parking of the playground. Maybe another entrance will open up, but they closed that end, but there's a walkway getting down there. I'm concerned that it's just cement as to whether anything could go over it, and I wonder how long we might have to wait for the fitness shade. I do have some wonderful drawings or photographs. The photographs aren't so wonderful, but the fact that they did them of what's going on in Oak Park that I'd like you to look at. The other thing is there is a sign, and it will be very nice when the sign is put up. I question what is going on that sign that's coming from the manufacturer. It's a custom-made sign, so what is it going to say? You know, we thank the Men's Club. They gave $60,000 towards this project, and, you know, I think they should be acknowledged in some way along with the city. And again, it's not senior exercise equipment. It's for anybody over the age of 14. We do have some concerns that it's very close to the children, and hopefully that, you know, they won't be on it. But I will share with you, if I can find where I put those pictures, the pictures of the shades. I thank you. Let me put this down.
Any other comments? Comments or questions from the City Commission? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We project that to be installed
Later, end of August, beginning of September, so I think pretty quick.
end of September. The next item is the actual exercise equipment. This is a matter of consideration to enter into a contract with Snyder Recreation of Royalton, Ohio for the purchase of greenfield exercise equipment in the amount of $33,629.80.
So move.
Second.
Any public comment? Comments or questions from the commission? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6 is a matter of consideration of entering into an agreement with Allied for the replacement of the City Hall condensing cooling unit in the amount not to exceed $13,700, and authorize the appropriate staff to sign the agreement. I understand we're currently operating on a Band-Aid and at half capacity. So, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any public comment? Any comments or questions from the commission? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7 is just setting a date to discuss the city manager's applicants for September 4th, 2021 at 7 p.m. We need to set a place for that, Carol?
You can just set it in enough time to notice it.
Okay. All right. We have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Any public comment?
What's the date?
It's Tuesday, September 14th.
Tuesday, September 14th
Oh, 14.
at 7 p.m. Any comments or questions from the commission? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8 is a motion that we move into closed session following the end of the regular meeting to just pursuant to MCL 15-268 to discuss union negotiations. This will require a roll call vote. We have a motion.
I had requested
We need a
June-
motion. Commissioner, we need a motion first.
I had requested the June 2021 finance statement, and we had removed that.
Commissioner, let's finish with this item first, and then we'll move
Okay.
on to that. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, this will require a roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem,
Aye.
Commissioner Elder,
Aye.
Commissioner Jenks.
Aye.
Mayor Paul, aye. We will be reconvening following the closed session. Item number 9 was pulled off the consent agenda. That was the treasurer's report. Commissioner Jenks asked that to be pulled out. Did you have a question?
Yes, I have two concerns. The first concern is in the fiduciary investments on the front page. Our bonds are all tied with Flagstar. We are getting, we've got $2.8 million there, but we're only getting a yield of 0.25%, whereas other major investments are 3 to 20 times that. We have 2 investments with Flagstar. I'm concerned about that. The Oakland County bond pool is doing 0.75 or 0.76, so it's 3 times as large. I would like to request that, if possible, we replace the Flagstar.
Yeah, so to speak to the number of things with the higher yield, those are longer term investments that are 4 or 5 years out. Like at the Comerica and Fifth Third, those are agencies, where the bond money is more liquid money we're going to be spending in the next 2 years. And there is 11.6 million at Oakland County pool. We don't want to put all our eggs in one basket, so we do want some diversity there. And there's the 2.7 million in Flagstar is our operating funds, and the 897, the other Flagstar account, is investment funds for bonds. So we could move some of the Flagstar money to the county if you want. We already have a lot of money at the county already.
One, I can't understand you, but I at least received your comment. The second one is the membership and dues charges. For June 30th, the budget reported the City Commission has been charged $10,340 for membership and dues expenses. Has that been modified?
Yeah, we changed it for the current year budget that started July 1st.
Okay, so beginning July 1st?
Correct.
It'll shift, that's fine. My basic concern, very, very briefly, was the commission was paying $10,000. The administration was paying $200 plus for membership dues, but the Michigan municipally, we use the risk management pools. It really is a citywide expense. With the National League of Cities, we use the sewer insurance program and get a commission back on that. And with SEMCOG, we get detailed planning details. But as long as that's changed for next year, that's fine. No further concern there.
Do we have a motion to approve the June 2021 Treasurer's Report then?
So, second.
Any public comment? Commissioner comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. City Manager's Report.
First of all, I might want to thank the members of the rec staff and the city staff who helped staff up City Hall so that folks, because this building and the pool were both out of commission because of the power outage. We thank them, and then Hank Berry, a number of the rec staff filled in. I know there were others, volunteers, a couple of them here on the, both Mayor Paul and Jeff Jenks, the Commissioner, were willing to step in and help keep the City Hall open, even though we were on half cooling, but it didn't go out. Secondly, there's a number of, I want to indicate that most of the residents of the city have been very understanding about it. There were questions raised. Edison does not, while we have contacts with Edison by email and things like that, we really don't get any very specific information about the outages here. On occasion we do, but usually, and in a big storm as this was, not the case. Their typical procedure is to triage where they can make the most and put enough people back in service. So whatever people are hearing or passing around and stuff like that, sometimes that's correct if they talk to a particular employee, and we certainly ask residents to be patient. Most of them have been, but the same is true with DPW. If we're out taking a tree down in a storm or unplugging a catch basin or something like that, perhaps the employee will know something about it, and most likely you need to check with a supervisor to see if that's the case. We have had some communications with DT, but mostly just to let us know what was going on and what they were doing area-wide. Let's see, what else do we have? I had a number of other things. I wanted to mention to the Commission that Public Safety has applied for a grant for additional body cameras. That's in process. The rec center, as you can see, is still, we're able to meet here tonight because the floor hadn't been varnished yet. I think that happens later this week, and they'll be open on August 30th. We have met, Tim and I met with staff from Mid-States Energy, and this is something the Commission, I think, had asked for previously. We're going to take a look at all of our buildings and the age and equipment that we have, along with streetlights that Tony Lehman had put a project together. He, I think, still serves on the Southeast Michigan Regional Energy Office as to converting our streetlights to LEDs. I mentioned to the mayor we have, in terms of staffing, Tim mentioned in his report the new person that's going to be helping in finance, a budget analyst, is coming to us from Harper Woods. And I better not drive near Harper Woods because we also have a new public safety officer that's going to be coming to work with us later this month. That person is already both police and fire trained. The other officer to fill an open position will be attending the fire academy shortly, but has gone through his police training. Let's see. I think that's pretty much. We are going to conduct. This is something that I involved and talked to our staff, Heidi and Tim, about. And I think they both felt it was a good suggestion that we conduct exit interviews for those employees who retire or leave us, just to determine if there's something else we could have done that may have allowed us. As you know, every employee is a big investment for the city in terms of training, and if we're able to keep them or change one of our policies, that would be helpful. Let's see. We did receive a letter from a gentleman on Boardman. Hank and I stopped by there earlier, and I left him a voice message. Wasn't home either time, but the city did use the Nixle alert through public safety on a couple of different occasions. Jane Dixon, who is our communications person, is in the back with a nice yellow or maize-colored outfit that I thought I would just mention it that way. We're not aware of when Edison decides as part of their safety protocol that they're going to turn my house on. They're going to shut off some others in the area. We don't receive notices from that. Those are decisions that their supervisors and staff make to protect their own employees. We don't receive notices like that. And to the comment of who's paying for all the spoiled food, I'll tell them the same person that I mentioned on the phone told the same thing to my son. If he wants to turn into a request to his homeowners, that's the way to do that. I'm not sure, even though it was suggested by the county commissioner, the state representative, that we write to the Public Service Commission. I'll be happy to do that on behalf of the city commission. I've not found in the past the Public Service Commission generally sends any requests like that to the utility to respond. So I'm not sure we get great answers that way, but certainly we can do that because this is, again, the storms that we've had, the outages we've had, are much more frequent than they used to be. And I think that's it for me.
All right, are there any questions for the city manager? All right, thank you. As I did say, we will be reconvening. We are going to move to the multipurpose room for our closed session, and then we will return to complete the meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to ask a question I think that other people are going to ask. I understand we declared an end to the emergency at our, I believe, meeting in June?
July.
But it's pretty obvious that there's a lot of impediments to the meeting like this, the difficulty hearing people with masks and stuff like that. And I know our legal counsel has said, I don't think that there's much. Is it that we cannot agree or move to have the September meeting by Zoom, even as a contingency if this Delta variant hasn't abated?
The way it stands right now, you cannot have a Zoom meeting. You cannot have a virtual meeting. There are very limited circumstances under the Open Meetings Act where it's permitted. One would be if there is a local state of emergency. But given the circumstances in the city of Huntington Woods, you would not be able to justify that. The majority of your residents have been vaccinated. You don't have a significant breakout of the Delta variant in your community. So there wouldn't be justification. All the communities have gone back to public meetings, and the state was given the option to continue the virtual meetings. There were bills pending, and they chose not to do so. So there's not a basis for us to do that.
Well, at least I tried.
I mean, let's face it, they're a lot easier to do virtually, but
No, but you can hear everybody. And,
yeah, I mean,
you
it
don't
is
have to
difficult. I have a
mumble
difficult
and-
time hearing everyone up here. I don't know, could you hear okay out there?
No.
I couldn't hear either, so.
That was great.
I know it is difficult. We'll have to figure out something, a better way to make sure the voices are coming across next month.
Okay.
Carol, what about the advisory committees? Can they have some individuals that are not present, or everyone has to be physically present?
If they are a public body, under the
Okay.
Open Meetings Act,
Okay.
they need to be present. Now, there's another exemption if you're in the military, you can call in, or if there is a medical reason. It's been, that if you've got a documented medical reason why you can't physically be present, or the state of emergency. Those are the only exceptions to meeting live. So I don't know how your committees, I don't know what the advisory committee is. I don't know, I mean, are they making any decisions? Are they just making recommendations to the commission? I'm not sure. Do you consider them a public body? Do you currently schedule their meetings as if they're a public body? Do you put out notice and everything else? If you've been doing that, if you're treating them like a public body, they're going to have to meet in person. I just don't know how they're all comprised.
Okay.
So Carol, I have a question. Then, in your opinion, the only way that this would be allowed to have remote meetings is through a legislative fix?
Right now, that's the way it looks. Absent something very strange happening, for example, that, you have some significant proportion of your population that comes down with COVID all of a sudden, and you're in a state of emergency. But I doubt that that's going to happen given your vaccination rate. You guys are the best in the state, I think, in terms of your vaccination rate. So.
But now they're saying that even if you're vaccinated, you could be a carrier.
Yes.
For the Delta.
Yes.
Oakland County is now in substantial, they were substantial, now they're high transmission.
I'm having a hard time hearing you, Michelle. I'm sorry. It's really hard to hear at this end of the table. What did you say? Well, I feel it like this.
Oakland County is now in high transmission level.
Yes, but they have not declared a state of emergency. Okay? The state has not declared one, given all the statistics.
Right.
The county has not declared one,
Okay.
given all the statistics.
Why are the courts, the court system in Michigan is operating on Zoom?
They're not a public body.
Okay.
Okay? I mean, the Open Meetings Act applies to public bodies. If you're a corporation, you can do whatever you want. If you're a court system, you can do whatever you want. If you're the city commission, you can't. You're subject to the OMA, unfortunately. And that's the way it stands right now. I mean, this has been fluid through this whole process, but the last time it came up where it was getting to the point where it was going to expire for the remote meetings, bills were floated, they were not passed. They decided the state of emergency was gone, state no longer has one, counties no longer have them, things are open back up. And that's just where it stands. And that's the advice I have to give you based on the existing statute.
Okay. We will return in about 10 minutes. Commission meeting. And I'd like a motion to approve the tentative agreement with ASCME and authorize City Manager Wallenweber to sign on behalf of the city.
So move.
Second.
Any public comment? Looks like we scared away most of the public. Comments or questions from the commission? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn the regular city commission meeting?
I motion to adjourn. the meeting.
Support.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion approved. Meeting is done.
Good night, everyone.